Hi guys. Hold on. I forgot I had forgot I pressed um oh shit balls. I already forgot I pressed it. I was like, shit. I'm doing a I had to do my subscriber live on there. Sorry guys. What am I doing? Shit, people are talking to me. What the fuck? What's going on? Lori, we did not go on. We did not go on. I'll explain. We got a couple of things on the agenda to talk about today. So you didn't miss anything, right? Cursing, yes, fuck, shit. All right, Terry, let's see if we can make you giggle, giggle, giggle. No cursing. Daniel, I fucking cursed. You don't like it? Get the fuck out. Evan, I just started, so you're cool. Okay, so couple things. Wow, blasphemy. She's a 49-year-old woman. A woman who cusses. Off with her head. Bye, Daniel. Don't let the screen scratch you on the way out. I don't fucking care if you like my fucking cussing or not. I fucking cuss. If you don't fucking like it, get the fuck out. Hecka, are you sleeping? Okay, anyhow. Would you be mine? It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. A beautiful day in the neighborhood. Would you be mine? Could you be mine? We have friends stepping outside the door every single day, waving hello to you. I don't know the words, never mind. Sherry, I did not do a live yesterday. I will tell you what happened. Hi, Dumpling. How are you? Hi, Liam. What's up, Buttercup? I know, I curse. I don't fucking care. And you know, the more people bring it up, the more I'm gonna fucking curse. Just on the principalities of it all. Because I'm all about the principalities. If you don't know me, you should know better. You should know better. Okay. Or if you do know me, you should know better. If you don't know me, well, this is me. And learn it. Love it or don't. Choice is yours. Okay, so, couple things. Both hand. Oh, hecka. Are you sure? Hand check, hecka. Hand check. So, last night, Deanne got home. Okay, now let's reminisce a little bit. Let's go down memory lane 5 years ago. Dan had a heart attack 5 years ago yesterday. Okay, so we have the mortality of life, liberty, and the justice for all. He had just come back yesterday from his, a family member passing, an unfortunate event, right? And then we got a wonderful package with a wonderful letter. I won't give you the details of the letter, but it was beautiful. Lori, shout out to Lori. I don't know if you watch our lives on YouTube. I know you're a teacher, and your story was amazing. Your writing was eloquent. It was sorry for your losses. And I am so happy our videos helped you get through your deepest and darkest days. We cried, we hugged, and it makes you take a step back for a minute and realize that time is limited. You know, we never know when our last moment's gonna be here on this earth. And it's weird, you know? It's weird. Lori, great shirt, great mug. I can't wait for you to see Grandpa in those things. But she has a fucking touching story. Amazing story. Dan was a blubbering idiot. I was too, but I think for Dan it was just a snowball of effects. It was a snowball effects for her. for him, with heart attack. I think it just all hit him after reading that letter. And the thank you she gave us, the thank you she gave us and said, I couldn't get out of bed. Depression took me and it had its hold on me. But then my husband introduced me to your stories. My husband introduced me to your videos. I've been both you and Danielle's videos, and it made me realize that people are doing the same thing. People are doing the same thing. It was uplifting to her. It got her out of bed. It got her out of bed. Wow. Trolls, F you. These are the stories that we live for. We helped her get out of a dark abyss. And her thank you to us, her thank you for sharing, her thank you for not feeling so alone. Y'all, come on. Dan read that letter to his mom, sobbing. I read it to my Zoomies. Lori, sorry if you watch this, but it was so beautiful. It was so beautiful. And thank you. This is what it's all about, Liam. You know how many great success stories that Dan and I get every day, right? Oh my God. GSR, what people, we'll get to that, GSR, we'll get to that. I have gotten so many thank yous, right? I've gotten so many thank yous. I've gotten so many, you have no idea where'd you pulled me out of. You have no idea. I was 2 seconds from taking my life, and I saw your videos, and you lifted me out. You gave me hope. What? Me? This crazy lady? Right? I don't know. I sit there sometimes, and I think to myself, it's so crazy how many people we touch. It's so crazy that people find a sense of security with us. I still can't get over it, right? I still can't get over that. And so when we get letters like this, when we get those reminders of success stories from people, all because they giggle, it reminds them of their past loved one or whatever it is. It's worth it, right? It's worth it. And it takes your breath away. It takes your breath away. It's kind of amazing that, I can do the same thing. That I can help people. It comes so natural to me. It's not something I work hard to do. It's crazy. It's crazy. So that's why we weren't on. We couldn't go on. Dan was a mess. I was going to go on. And then I got triggered by idiots on YouTube. And it really pisses me off, And I just kind of took myself reading something so beautiful and captivating and wonderful and seeing my husband so emotional and so, in his feels, I just said, it's not time. It's not time. So I stayed on with my Zoomies for a little bit. They allowed me to vent. They allowed me to bitch and complain. And then my husband needed me. So I went to bed and hugged him. He really spooned me. He was the big spoon, but whatever. And we fell asleep together. So he needed his woman. You hear that? His woman. So that was our night. Valentine's Day A lot of, oh, and Jackie, that's another great. I love hearing those things. The successes you guys have had with exercise, you know, I love doing that. Simply just by running on the treadmill every day sparked, you know, people, how do you guys watch that bitch running on the fucking treadmill? She's fucking rude and that's all she does with that backwards hat. Can you believe that backwards hat? Shit. And all that cussing she does. Can you help me with mine, Cole? You fucker. I got it. This guy, I'm pretty sure, this guy, like yesterday, I was out here with y'all. I have like 6 mosquito bites on each fucking leg. I am dying. Liam, and you know what? That's all we're trying to do. We're trying to support people. We're trying to say, look, we're just as crazy as the rest of you. You know what? If we can develop a community where friendships are made, laughter is had, support is here, fuck, I've succeeded. I've succeeded. Despite my tone and my rudeness, I'm succeeding. We have a great community on both sides. You know, we have a great community on the YouTube side. We have a great community. It's different. And I wouldn't have it any other way. And I always say that last, is that nobody knows what we're all doing, what we're all going through. You know, I'm open. I share my shit. Most of it. I was waiting to share some other important shit in my life, but I have a lot of women who are babbling amongst themselves about my relationship, my private life, my story, not yours. Samantha, that's okay. You're allowed a mental day. What pisses me off, Goodman, I got enough. I've got about 5,000 pounds if you need it. What pisses me off is that you people, and I know you women are going to be watching this if you're not already watching. What pisses me off is that you feel validated. You feel prized at some way, that you have information that you've learned through hate sites. Through hate sites. You're taking private lives, private information that we have chosen not to share yet for lots of reasons. Not because it's a secret, not because we're ashamed, not because of the reasons you use it against me. Shame on you. Shame on you. Shame on you about talking about something that you have no right to talk about. Shame on you for continuing to talk about it and giving your explanations when people have questions. Shame on you for bringing up my mother. Shame on you for letting her name roll off your fingers and your tongue. Shame on you. My story. My story. My mother. My mother. My dead mother. How dare you? Nothing bothers me more than people using my mother's name. Sorry, Mom. Just for their own pleasure, their own, I don't know, what is it? What are you guys doing? What is your point? What is your point? My mother's death anniversary is coming up a week from Saturday. Don't you ever utter my mother's name out of your mouth. You will be blocked. You guys are taking a story that you've listened to not from my mouth or not from Dan's mouth, but from trolls' mouths. People who are pissed off. People who are searching for some golden ticket to dump drama. There's no drama. Joke's on you, there's no secret. Just because we have chosen not to talk about certain things yet, there's reasons why. But y'all too stupid to understand that. Y'all too stupid to understand why we have held off for sharing our story. Our story. It's not your fucking story to tell. It's mine. Little do you realize why we haven't said it. Are we ashamed? No. Is it a secret? No. We're telling a story right now. The story that we want people to follow is the lead in which we are going. That was the purpose. There was a time frame. There was a reason, right? But y'all are so fucking vindictive and angry and bitter that you have to spread shit and you don't even know the truth behind it. Because if you haven't listened, you haven't heard it from me or from Dan, it's not your story to tell. It's not your story to tell. Y'all should be ashamed of yourself, especially you females out there. You females looking to gain whatever pleasure you have. By using my mom's name, you have no right to do that. Have some respect for the dead. Have some respect for Dan's wife. Have some respect for Ed's daughter-in-law. But those of you who use it like you have some higher power, it means nothing until I talk about it. Leave my mama's name out of it. Y'all already did enough damage posting her obituary to get your rocks off. But now that you're actually saying my mama's name, you don't have that right. Especially when you're doing it in ugliness and disrespect. Because that's what it is. It shouldn't matter who my mom was married to. It shouldn't matter the dynamics of my situation, my personal life. It shouldn't matter. And my mom's name should stay out of your evil mouths. God, how embarrassing. How embarrassing for you guys. People have boundaries. It's like, don't talk about my kids, right? Don't talk about my kids. Don't talk about my husband. Only I can do that. And don't talk about my dead mother. Sick. But since you're at it, why don't you dig up the information on my dad? Because that's not fun. Because what? There's no big secret lying in the wake for that one? Let me tell you something. I have no secrets. My life is an open book. I have just chosen to not talk about certain things. Let me help you out. My daddy's name is Pierre Behar. He died April 15th, 2008. The bullet that was meant to kill him the night he took a bottle of Jack Daniels, a bottle of pills, and a bullet was meant to end his life that day. But guess what? He survived that. He walked down the stairs. A woman saw him with blood dripping down the side of his face. Said, "Can I help you?" My daddy said, "I think I've been shot." Not realizing he self-inflicted his own injury. They couldn't remove the bullet from his brain because he would probably stroke out on the table. But eventually, 2 years later, he died because the bullet dislodged from his brain and gave him a stroke. He had short-term memory loss due to the event. And the day he died, he still had no idea he did it to himself. No idea he did it. He died alone. He died in his chair. He died a different man. He actually changed. Funny. He was actually probably more of a man after that injury than he was before. What else do you need to know? He was married to my mom. Young love. Not very long. I'm sure y'all have figured out my family's name, my religion, and everything else because of your dirty little fingers. Shame. Shame on you. He married my stepmom, one of the greatest women in my lives, aside from my mama. Even higher than my mama. You know that. We talked about that. My mama totally respected her too. She gave birth to my brothers. Because of my daddy's bipolarism, he was a drinker, he was a pill popper. Which means he didn't make the best choices in life. Which led to their divorce. After that, he married a third woman. Her name was Kathy. I don't really know anything else other than that. But she was about 2 years older than me. He married his daughter's age woman. Now, I never really had the chance to meet her, nor did I want to, because at that point in my life, I was angry. I had lost my mama. While he was trying to end his life. Regrets. I have those regrets. So, bad on me for not having the chance to meet her or get to know her or whatever. She found him dead in his chair. Nobody should ever find their loved one dead in a chair. But that's the way it happened. That's the way it happened. Y'all need to get your noses out of my business. Y'all need to relax on the story. Nothing juicy, nothing crazy, nothing inappropriate. What you're hearing is true. What you're seeing with these angry people writing is true, okay? And what? Come at me now. You guys want to stand up to the plate now? Y'all sick. And I hope you feel guilty for it, because it's going to change the dynamic of our channel. My husband has worked hard for memories of his father. My husband has created a dad that he's proud of. Hi, Emily. What's the shame in preserving a memory on how a child wants to remember? But when we talk about certain elements of our life together, it will change the element of the man you have fallen in love with. He has protected that for his dad's dignity. He has protected that because maybe that's what he wants to remember about his father. But you all think you know better, and you want all these truths and these things that y'all can't just wait for to throw it in my face. Why is it happening just to me, not to Dan? Like it's some fucking big deal. There was a protection. It was, Sherry, and people don't realize. People don't realize that it was a protection to this man in here. It's a protection. He's a different man today than he was 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago. Y'all want all these answers about divorce and shit. It changes everything. He was never an abusive man, well, physically. He was never a cheater. He was never, never drugs, no alcohol, no nothing like that. But what you see today is much kinder, sweet, unlike what he was back then. Our story changes the perception of the very man you love today. Point blank. It changes. Some of you, and I'm going to just give you an example. Some of you, question, well, why did they divorce? And Dan's like, that's for them. There's reasons, right? There's reasons. I have also talked about how I thought about Ed in the past. And women went to Dan bitching and complaining because I spoke bad of Ed in the past tense. In the past tense. They got mad at me for talking about my opinion of my relationship with him. Why do you think that is? Why do you think that is? Because he's a different man today. And that's what Dan wanted to preserve. Our story, in all honesty, we were waiting. We were waiting. Dan wanted to wait. We thought it would be beneficial to wait until after he passed. We're afraid of what would happen to our purpose of doing this. right? The purpose of doing this is for dementia awareness, showing caregivers that, yeah, life sucks sometimes, right? But we got to keep on drudging, and we still keep on trudging. This is the focus of the channel. All you smart people throwing my shit against me, what do you think's going to happen once we talk about our life? The focus shifts. The focus shifts. And that wasn't our intention right now. We wanted it to be about Ed and about us caring for Ed. But y'all have your panties in a twist. So thank you for that. Thank you for being disrespectful. Thank you for being rude and mean and vindictive. Because I'm gonna tell you something right now. My love story with my husband is nothing but a beautiful fucking thing. My love story, my story to tell, Dan's story to tell is beautiful. It's not ugly like you guys want to make it. It's beautiful. And it's pretty fucking cool. And y'all should be jealous of that aspect of having true love. Having soulmates. But because you guys think you know better, blasting whatever you found on ugly hate sites, who use my dead mother's information for your shits and giggles. Shame on you. Shame on you. Man, was I triggered. The obituary was one thing. But when I saw her name posted between chatterings among some women, made me ill. And I had many different responses to them. I deleted it. It's not worth it. Because I hope they feel ashamed. I hope they feel guilty for pushing us into doing something that we were going to do. But we were waiting for his father's sake. Because Dan is trying to focus on our journey with his father. It's sad, and it's sad for me. Yes, it triggers me. And I think any of you know we're worried about Charles. Liam, we're really worried about Charles. It triggers me. Leave my mama's name out of it. I don't care what you say about me or Dan or our relationship. Have fun with it. Since you already fucking fucked up our plan of preserving his dignity. His dignity. It wasn't about us. And you guys made it about us. It was for Ed. It was for Ed. But everybody thinks they know better. So joke's on you, actually. Thinking you have some big bombshell. Oh, Lord. Joke's on you. You wish you could have what we have. But I'm sorry to Ed, because I'm protective. I'm a wee protective over that man. And I have forgiven him, mostly. I have forgiven him, mostly. But I have fallen in love with him, right? Which I never had all these years. So it's beautiful. In whichever way you want to look at it, it's beautiful. It's even beautiful for me and Ed, the story we had. It's beautiful for me and Ed. Our story. It's crazy. And a lot of things will fall into place now that we're going to have to talk about it a little bit sooner than later because of idiots. But if people just were patient enough to see and to just wait it out, it would have been a better time to preserve his dignity. And the way Dan, his son, wanted to preserve his integrity as a man, as a father, and as a grandfather. But you guys know better, once again. Shit. But anyhow, my relationship, Barb, with Ed has come full circle. It has come full circle. Without delving, and I'm trying to be respectful for my husband because I know he's something he's so excited to talk about, right? It's something he's so excited to talk about. When we have shared our story with our Zoomies, I left because he wouldn't let me get a word in edgewise. So I just said, well, fuck, I'm leaving. Call me in 2 hours. It takes forever. They talk about how beautiful he was, how excited, how the love, they've never seen Dan in any of this way. And it was touching. Many of them cried to see his exuberance, his love, his compassion, to tell about his true love. His true love, you guys. Me. It happens. So I would love to talk about it because I don't give a shit. But he gets so much. He loves talking about it. So no, it's not a secret. Everybody knows. Just not yet social media. Not yet social media. Anybody who knows us knows. It is what it is. We're not ashamed. We just have a particular timeline in which we were going towards. And so it's not like it wasn't ever going to come out, for fuck's sake. Our life is that. But I know Dan wants to be the primary storyteller. It's something that he loves to talk about. It's something that he's compassionate about and passionate about. I know, Mike, it's hard, but you can mend the fence yourself. There are ways. Yes. And when I tell you I love this man for many years, man, it's the truth. The minute I saw him, I knew I loved him. It's fucking weird, you guys. It's fucking weird. Just so you know. Just so you know. But I knew it in my heart. My eyes lit up. I still remember the first day I met Dan. He remembers the first day he met me. He was petrified. Because he didn't know his dad. Yeah, anyhow. It's a cute love story. It's a cute love story. Then I didn't see him for years after that. And then, yeah, I knew it. He made me smile. He made my eyes sparkle. He was my one true love. He was. Still is. Even though he drives me nuts. Even though he busted my spleen yesterday with 5 gallons of fucking candy he threw as I was napping. Yes. It's gonna be, just so you know, I know, we all wish, you know, and that's the same thing I say, Amy, all the time. And that's why for all the people who, for all the people who still have that chance with their parents, and my Emily Jones did. My Emily Jones, she's on TikTok and YouTube. She listened to me a year ago talking about make amends, it's not worth it. Take it from me. She went and held Dan's hand. She was with her dad 2 weeks up to his passing and held his hand when he passed. God, she gave me a note and said, Danielle, I can never repay you for what you allowed me to see and do. Now I wish I had more time. Now I wish I had more time. She listened. It's not worth the things that I did because of my anger and my expectations I had in my own father that he just couldn't live up to because it wasn't his expectations. They were mine. It's not fair for us to expect somebody to be better when they don't know how or it's not their way. I helped her see that. Not all of us find true love. And if that's one thing, man, I'm telling you, it hasn't been easy, Goodman. It has not been easy. But our love story will eventually be written about. It will be published. And I can't wait, you know, the opportunities and the people who come forth with similar situations. Maybe we can help them in their journey, you know, and that focus. Maybe we can help them feel okay and not ashamed, you know. It's really, really sad. It's really sad. Just Google her name and read it. Catherine, that's so. This is people like you. You know, it's people like you, Catherine. This is Catherine. Well, what's going on? What's the story? Catherine said, just Google her name and read it. Yes, that's a great source of information. Reddit is a fucking bag-on app. That's my point. Y'all making it so fucking ugly. Catherine, you're rude. That's disrespectful to me, to Dan, to Grandpa, because it's ugly. You are the reason why there are other women. You want to hear their story? Go to Reddit, because that's a fucking place to hear the truth behind everything. God. You are starting the crap. You're continuing the crap, Catherine. I didn't start it, she said. I didn't start it. No. But by mentioning it and continuing on the ugly, you are promoting it. How do people not see that? How does she not see that, though? I didn't do it. It wasn't me. I'm just delivering. I'm just delivering. You're delivering ugliness. Reddit. Hey, y'all. Have you ever seen anything positive on Reddit? Any of you? Do you see any success stories on Reddit? Let's read success stories. Let's read about love, compassion, and kindness. Do y'all know? That's where it is on Reddit. Y'all crazy. Give it over your fucking selves. Get over your fucking selves. What is your purpose? What do you think is wrong with my relationship? Please tell me. Let's have an open forum. Let's do it. Are you jealous of my love? Are you jealous of my love? What is actually wrong with my relationship? The only thing I see wrong is you people spreading ugly. You making it ugly. You mentioning my mama's name. You already did a fucking enough. Posting her obituary all over the place. Sick. Sick. That's the only sick and disturbing thing I see out of this whole thing. Just saying. Ugh. There's not one thing wrong with my love. Not one thing. You can't help who you fall in love with, right? Have y'all see Sweet Home Alabama? Anybody? Anybody see Sweet Home Alabama? And what was that one line she said at the beginning when they're standing on the beach in the stormy night? That's me and Dan. It's really me and Dan. It's our love. What did he say? I can't think of it right now just because I'm put on the spot. Come on. Come on. Give me the line. You're the last one I want to kiss. Come on. You can't help falling in love. I want you to be the first and the last person, right? Come on. Somebody. Google it. That's me. That's me. The moment I get off today, I'm going to be like, damn it. That's me. It is possible to fall in love at a young age. I did. I know, me too, Tamara. We have made a beautiful life together. Hasn't always been easy. But the one thing I can tell you for sure is that people, Sean, she's one of those women. Sean, I was mostly talking to you because you have been ugly a lot, Sean, on my page, being disrespectful to me, and to everything else. Yes, it's the way you write things, the way you state facts, the way you, I believe it's you. Because man, you made my heart flutter when I just saw your face and your name. Because I've responded to you many times and erased it because the way she says it, is so disrespectful. The way and it's her, I swear. My heart just did that flip. And I'm going to tell you something. I haven't been, and I'm just going to give you, I'm going to give you little insights. I'm going to give you little insights to me and my journey with mine and Dan's relationship. For so long, I was looked at, judged, when you're younger, early, late teens, early 20s. And when I was open about our love, and which it wasn't really a secret, but I just never verbally said stuff to friends, and because I was afraid of the backlash that I got. I lived with that trauma for a long time. I'm just telling you, I lived with that trauma for a very long time. I felt ashamed almost. People made me feel ashamed about loving the man I fell in love with. Ugh. I can't believe that. That's not right. Why? I was meant to believe that it was wrong. And so I know that kind of hurt, Dan. Kind of hurt Dan because I was always like, don't do that. Don't say that. Don't, why, because when you're young and you're vulnerable, So when I've said I have accomplished a lot in my life, that is one of the things, and not just till recently. I can tell you when word of our relationship started, people started throwing shit out there, and I was petrified, right? I was petrified because I was like, God, I'm not ready for this. But why? 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 Who the fuck cares? I deal with trolls on a day-to-day basis. Why the fuck? You know what I mean? And so, I'm finally at peace. You guys. I'm finally not afraid. I'm finally don't give a fuck. I'm proud. I am proud. I am proud. And I'm sad. I could cry. I'm upset. Oh, Jed, I'm sorry. I'm upset for myself. I'm upset for myself. I'm upset that I was weak. You remember when I talked about that? Remember how I look back at young Danielle and I'm sad. I'm frustrated with myself for being so weak and so worried about what others think. Most of all, my biggest regret is doubting my love. Being quiet about it. Letting people dictate how I should feel about it. That's one of my biggest shameful moments. It's one of my biggest shameful moments in my life. That is one of my biggest shameful moments. I'm mad I allowed myself to think that. Oh, soaring spirit, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah. I've accomplished in 1 year what most people can't accomplish in a lifetime. That baggage, that shame or feeling, I wasn't shame. Am I making myself clear? Like, I'm not shameful, but I just was made to think that it wasn't okay. Not by my family, not by Dan's family, but other people that surrounded me. I always felt like it needed more information and more, specifics to make it okay because people made me feel that it wasn't okay. I was always worried. And we'll get into that. We'll get into all the specifics later because, it's hard to speak and, I'm jumping all over the place, right? I'm jumping all over the place and without really, delving into the storyline. But you guys pretty much have the basics, most of you anyway. But there's so much to it. There's so many pieces that probably are falling into place. There's so many pieces that, probably make more sense now, especially with Ed. And my journey, it's really beautiful. It's really beautiful. And I'm not afraid anymore. I don't care. But now that the fact that people These are like people in my past, right? These people, these trolls, are like the people in my past trying to tell me, make me feel like I'm wrong. It's exactly why it's triggering to me. I don't think it is with you guys. I think you guys know the basics. I think you haven't pushed it, but there's still those people who are ugly that want to push it thinking it's some big secret. There's nothing wrong with our love. You know, there's nothing wrong with what we did. Well, I mean, it all worked out, right? Could have been a little, you know what I mean, but, I gotta put some humor in that shit. You know, you got to. But man, he was hot. He was hot. I didn't see him for years. I fell in love with him. I won't even tell you how young, because you guys won't believe it. I met him and I was like, oh, hey, who are you? Come play with me. Not that way. Not yet. For the love of Pete. And then I didn't see him for years after that. He came over for protection for his dad, and there he was. Hi, let's go play house. I still remember what he was wearing. Is that weird? I still remember what he was wearing, and I remember exactly like I took him. There was an I always call it the underground. You know, it was an apartment. Lived in an apartment, and there was a stair. You know, one of those closets, and I would just go in there and I would just play. In there by myself, and I don't know what happened, but the door rang, or the door knocked, and I went and answered it, and there was Dan. Hi, I have a friend to play with. And I literally remember, and I was young, you guys, taking him by the hand, and I was like, let's go play. And I took him into the closet. Poor Dan was in shock because nobody knew, right, that he was dating a woman with me. And I still remember Dan's face. You know, the closet shuts and Dan's like, what the fuck is happening? And he just slides down in the closet like in complete shock, poor kid. And I was like, whatever, ordering him around, kind of like I do now. Oh my God, who knew? Who knew? Who knew that would be the beginning of our love story? He was wearing, just for those of you thinking about it, he was wearing, can you imagine his face? That poor guy. He came because, and he'll tell the story, but there was a armed shooter at his mom's complex, and he lived with his mom. And there was a armed guy, so she said, just go to your dad's. And it was a couple miles from where they lived, maybe less than 5 miles. And so he rides over there because she's like, just go there just in case, you know, they don't find her or whatever. And yeah, zip, zip, zip. So anyhow, he showed up, and you imagine just seeing a woman, and Ed wasn't, you know, I mean, nobody knew his dad was dating. Nobody knew. We weren't living there yet, but so imagine, poor kid. The fuck? Who the fuck? Hi. So he had brown corduroy pants. Brown corduroy pants. Brown corduroy pants, you guys. The shirt, remember OP? You got me, you know? It was a cream OP collared shirt, half collar, you know? And he had orange and brown and yellow stripes, you know, in clusters. Yeah, wait till you see Dan, you guys. Wait till you see Dan. Wait till you see Dan when he talks. It is, you've never seen Dan. You've never seen Dan in this light. You've never seen him talk with love, you know? Oh, thanks, Callie. Yeah, the brown quartz. It's cute. I mean, you guys, it's just, I told Dan too. I said, we're gonna have to do it. It's just, I want to be able to talk about certain things, Now that everybody's throwing it in my face and all this shit, I'm ready to talk about the coolness, the cool shit. I'm ready to show people, the trolls specifically, that I'm not ashamed. It's not a secret. I'm ready to talk about the nuances, the Ed stuff, my mom stuff. It's not pretty, My mom stuff is not pretty. It's not pretty. It's not pretty. Right? It's not pretty. But without that joining, it wouldn't have led to us. Josh, his kids, my babies. God, you guys, my babies. So when there's bad, and I'm telling you, my childhood was not good, right? I was never beaten. I was never, but it wasn't good because that wasn't good, Ed and my mom were not good. But it brought me Josh. It brought me his kids. Sorry. It brought me. Another extension of my mom. That's her extension. You know what I mean? My extension. She lives on through those kids. They have her toe. It's the funniest thing. All three of those kids, I have the toe. And it was my mom's toe. And they all have it. Come on, you guys. Like, how beautiful is that? It's fucking beautiful. Sorry. I didn't want to cry. That's why those babies mean so much to me. You know what I mean? They do. It's the second to the last toe. It kind of curves in. It's the funniest thing. I've got them on both of my feet. Josh has it too. Thanks, Ma. And I swear, I laugh at Josh because Dylan has his nose coming in. And I laugh at Josh. I'm like, oh no, that's Mom. Me and Josh have so much fun with it. Oh no, it's coming. God, yes. Janet, yes. Josh is the Josh is the offspring of that. Yeah. And he Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm so proud, you know. Um, there's so many different emotions. You know what I mean? And it hurts that people, want to make it so ugly. Um, and all I see is beauty. You know, all I see is beauty and love and, um, and the guilt that I have for different things. And my mom got to see me marry the man I love. My mom got to see me graduate from college. My mom got to see all of my kids. Ugh. That's why I'm a badass auntie. You know? That's why I'm a badass auntie. She never got to see those things for Josh. God, and I feel guilty, you know? I feel guilty. That's why I'm there. That's why I stop everything I do. If they need me, I'm there. I try not to miss games. And if my mom were still here, we'd be doing it together. That's how my mom was. She was a great woman. She loved her family. She loved her kids. She loved her grandkids. I'm kind of like a Gramanti, you know? Thanks, Liam. I'm a Gramanti. Yeah, it's Gramanti. Lala. I'm a Gramanti. And those kids know, you know? This morning, it was really cute. Dan called Josh. And Rocky's been sick, poor thing. I got to check on her. But Dan called Josh, and he had all three of the kids. Sorry. Yeah, sorry. At least people can't see you. Y'all seeing me. And all three of the kids were in the car, and Dan came by, and he said, hi. He says, say hi to the kids. And I'm like, hi, guys. Auntie loves you. And everybody, Lainey and Wes are like, Auntie, we love you too, blah, blah, blah. And I said, hi, Dill Pickle, Auntie loves you. And Josh starts laughing. He starts waving. My boy starts waving. Dan's like, what the fuck? I said hi to Aka Delaney and Wes, and you guys didn't say anything, but Auntie comes in and you say you love her too, and hi, Auntie. I said, Dilly Pop, Auntie loves you. And then he blew me a kiss. He blew me a kiss. Oh, that kid loves me. Josh is laughing. He's like, holy shit, Danielle. He recognizes your voice. He's waving and blew me a kiss. That's what I do it for. You guys, I can't. I'm a fucking baby. I started crying. Dan was like, what the fuck? I'm like, you don't understand. That means so much to me. He doesn't even see my face. My mom would have been so happy, you guys. I mean, if I can just tell you how much, I mean, they moved up here. They lived in the Bay Area, and they built a house up here, you know, in Shingle Springs, to be closer to my kids. Josh finished high school up here, and that's the type of grandparents she was, you know, and Ed. And in a weird way, that's when they started coming together. You know what I mean? Tracy, God, I hate to say it, but she did it right. I mean, you know, despite all her own issues and her alcoholism, sorry, Ma, you know, she still managed to raise two pretty cool kids despite our upbringing. You know what I mean? Our upbringing was something. It was hard. It wasn't pleasant. I couldn't wait to get out of the house. Love you, Sam. I couldn't wait to get out of the house. I couldn't wait. I was like, get me out of here. It was so bad. My anxiety started there. I was anorexic. Come on. Control. So yeah, there's stories. There's things. You know what I mean? But I do. I feel guilty. You know, Josh was, my mom died in February. He graduated in May from college. He was in the middle of finals. He actually met Rocky during that time. So I have a lot of guilt, you know. I have a lot of guilt. But there's nothing I can do about it. She was an amazing parent. I mean, you know, despite the situation of growing up, right? Despite, you know, Josh, I mean, was young, so I think he's repressed a lot of things. I bring things up and he's like, oh yeah, you know, there's a lot of, I think he represses a lot, but for me it was worse, right? Because it wasn't my dad. And I never liked him, ever. From the first moment I met him, I didn't like him. And we can get into all that later. And now I'm taking care of him. My mom's probably flipping over going, what the fuck? Never saw that one coming. Me neither, Mom. Me neither. Stranger things have happened, you guys. It's really a fascination. It's really a fascinating story. And that's the thing, Susan. You know, it all starts with fucking Ed. It all starts with fucking Ed. When people say, you know, when people say, well, Ed started this. Oh, Ed started a lot more than you even know. It's crazy, Jennifer, right? Things happen so, you know, the older I've gotten more like, what the fuck? You know? Like, what the fuck? What the fuck? Do you remind of your mother? Sure, I'm going to say something. Like, I think what's really funny, and I'm going to tell you this. No, he used to. When we first started social media, there was moments like, you never knew what he was going to say. When Hannah comes home, he calls Hannah Danielle sometimes, and then will call me Janice. It's a weird thing. Like sometimes I think he does kind of know. Yesterday, he said the weirdest thing. I was on the phone. I was on my Zoom. And he said, he looked at me, and it was the weirdest fucking thing. Everybody heard it on the Zoom too. They're like, wow, it hasn't happened in a long time. And he said, you know, I've known you since you were 6 years old or younger. And he just sat there, and I kind of looked at him, because it's there sometimes, you know. And he says, a long time. And, you know, as things start to, you know, come together a lot better, you'll see you'll see that there's been videos where he'll say, yeah, I've known you ever since you were little, or you've heard him say that. That's the memory. Maybe that's why he remembers me, the most, is because I've been with him for most of my life, right? I lived with him. Dan's home. Bluetooth! 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 Hi, Nikki. He loves me. He does. And I don't know how he could. Let me tell you, Barb.
What are you doing?
I was the ugliest. I was so mean to him. Yeah, like Dan will tell you, you lived with him longer than I did. Kind of true. Scary, but true. Fuck. Just kidding. You're welcome, Sherry. I mean, it's already there, It's already there. I just know you guys have been so respectful and so kind and so warranted, and I'm just ready. I didn't tell it. I didn't.
Do I get what?
Yes, I did.
I don't get to talk?
Yeah, I see. He's upset. I told you guys.
And now you're on the thing.
Yeah, Dan wants to. You want to get on really quick?
You bring it in here. Stop the damn thing.
See, Dan's upset now.
I'm not upset. I just had interesting listening on the way home from the courthouse.
Oh, you were listening?
Yeah.
Oh, shit. See, now he's mad. You guys done did it. It's your fault. I told you this guy likes to talk. He's gonna be mad at me because he wants to tell the story. Shitballs. Tomorrow. Maybe we'll talk about it tomorrow.
Is he up?
Yeah. Talk to them for a second. I'll go pee. I got pee.
Is there any more coffee?
No, there's those pods.
Do live tonight. I'd like to do a live tonight. Danielle, you heard, that's her story. That's not mine. My perspective is quite different, as you might imagine, because, I was older and I had, my family had moved on. By the time my parents had divorced, all my older brothers and sister were out of the house. So, we kind of had our family, and then my dad started a second family. So my perspective is very different than hers. But I don't know if she told you the first meeting we had, the first time I ever met her, was one of the strangest days of my entire life. I'll just quickly, my parents divorced, right? And as a 11-year-old kid or 10-year-old kid, you don't think about parents dating, right? I knew they were getting divorced. I could barely understand that. And when I moved from our house, when we sold our house that I grew up in, I moved into a condominium with my mom, and it was just the two of us. So, I was there. I had to be the protector at 10 years old. It was scary for me because I lived in a cocoon with all these older siblings, and then all of a sudden, they were gone. The last one went to college. They were all off living their own lives. My sister had, was married and all that stuff. So when I was with my mom as the protector, one night, my mom comes into my room crawling, and she says, there's somebody across the lake shooting at us. Apparently some guy went wacko and he shot like 400 rounds into his house. And so the cops had surrounded the place, the SWAT teams, and they had evacuated everybody. But we were so new, they didn't have our phone number in their log. So we were the last people to exit. So it was like super scary. My mom didn't know. I didn't know if there was someone shooting at us, and we were evacuated in the middle of the night. So whatever the hell I was wearing, brown corduroys, I put them on in the middle of the night, probably inside out. How much older are your siblings? My next sibling's like 6 years older. So he was graduating, went to college, Mike, right as my parents divorced. It was just me and my mom that moved. My dad had been living on his own for I don't know, however long before the divorce. So I didn't see my dad all that often at that point. But that night, as we were evacuated, my mom said, "Hey, your dad doesn't live too far from here. Go there to his house." And there was no cell phones. We didn't have his number, so it wasn't like a telephone call. I just showed up at their house, and I thought, the door opened, and there's this strange lady, Danielle's mom, and Danielle. And so I'm there already traumatized, and then I'm re-traumatized because I'm, now have to focus with, oh my God, my dad's actually moving on. And then, and basically, so that was our initial meeting. That's how we met, in a traumatic way. And she had her perception, I had mine. And then I didn't see her or her mom again for a number of years after that. I don't know. Danielle would know better what they were doing, whether they were off and on dating or what have you. But at some point in that relationship that was really difficult. Janice was over 20 years younger than my dad. So, my older siblings kind of looked at the relationship with suspicion. It was kind of like, what is this lady doing? What are her intentions? All that stuff. And that was that. And I was growing up, and I was getting lost after the divorce. The divorce really screwed me up. So I was kind of out of it for the next number of years. I didn't, if you've ever heard, I barely graduated from high school because all I did was drink, chase girls, and play football. That's what I did, and hang out. My mom was going to school, going to college. She was also working. I didn't see my dad. I had no real structure. So I just kind of floated. And then the Danielle and I thing happened, once there was really we didn't see them very often because it was two separate families at that point, maybe a birthday here or something like that. And then at some point, Danielle's mom and they split up and they went back to Tennessee. And we didn't really know what was my family didn't really know what was going on. There was not a lot of communication. We did not communicate with my dad that much. And all of a sudden, he was gone. They were gone for a year or 2 years, however long it was. And then my dad went to Tennessee. And the deal was, her mom wanted a baby, and my dad didn't want a baby. He was in his 50s, so he was not ready to have a baby. And for whatever reason, he changed his mind. He went to Tennessee and got married, I assume. We didn't know that they were even married. I don't think we knew, my family didn't know that they were married until Janice was pregnant with Josh. So, but Josh came, and then all of a sudden I had, more reason to go there and see her, and I was exposed to Danielle more. She was a little girl, and, and she had issues with my dad like you wouldn't, but she had issues with her dad, right? She was feeling abandoned, so she was angry at my dad, but I think it was, all tied up in her relationship with her own dad. But in any event, we were exposed to each other more often, but she was still, a little girl, and I was older. And then, we never lived together. We didn't grow up together, anything like that. But at one point, I remember I got kicked out of my mom's house. I brought a girl home overnight. My mom did not like it, and she just booted me out. And Danielle, I don't know where the hell she was. She was in Tennessee for her day with her dad. She'd go there for 3 months with her family and father. And so I spent 3 days at my dad's house, waiting. I was moving in with a friend of mine. I moved into his house. His parents were divorced, and she was renting out rooms. So I had arranged that, but I was there for 3 days, and Danielle wasn't there when I got there. And of course, in those days, I was partying till 2 a.m. I'd come home and everyone's asleep. And I think I was sleeping in Josh's room. He was very young, and he had bunk beds, so I was sleeping above him. And when I'd wake up in the morning, nobody would be there. They'd be off at work or what have you. And then, like the third morning, the day I was leaving, I woke up in the morning to Danielle's eyes. She had come home that previous day. I had no idea, and there she was looking at me. And all of a sudden, she wasn't a little girl anymore. She was 16, and she was had grown up, and it was like, wow. And then, and we had a fling for like a year and a half, and her mom knew about it very early, and she was one of the only people that knew. Then, my family knew, my friends knew, because it wasn't a big deal to me the way it was to her. So I was older, right? And it just didn't, they weren't, I was comfortable. I had my family, and then my dad had his second family. So for me, it was a very different perspective than Danielle. But we had a good fling for, a year and a half. And I fell hard. I fell in love for the first time. And is it,
Uh-oh.
oh,
There's tissue.
there's tissue. So when she was going to be a senior in high school, I realized, this is somebody that I could live with, but she was so young that you couldn't, she didn't have any experience. So, and the story gets a lot better. So we split up. I said, I can't, if we're meant to be, we're meant to be. It will happen. And we split up for, like a year and a half. Her entire senior year up until like halfway through her first college year. And she took it fine. She went out and she dated and she, prommed and did her whole thing. She was in high school. Meanwhile, the one who wasn't pursuing originally was the one who got screwed. And I had trouble that entire year. I dated and dated and dated a million people and nobody compared. It was just like, I thought I'm never going to find anybody. And I was starting to think I'm going to completely lose her because she was not, his response, she was off doing her own thing. And finally, after about, a year and a half, I met somebody, right? She was a senior in college and it was her last semester. It was Christmas break, like a month and a half off. And my mom introduced me to her. And, her dad was a professor at medical school and her family was really intellectual, and it was just a different experience for me and a family unit that I was kind of missing. And we had dinner and I fell for this woman, this girl at this time. She was a senior in college. And ironically, I was feeling abandoned by Danielle, and that kind of, I moved on from that. I found somebody. And then on New Year's Eve, I spent the entire New Year's Eve with this girl at my mom's house downstairs by the fire. We just stayed up talking all night. It was amazing. It was probably somebody I would have married. And lo and behold, she went back to Massachusetts to finish her senior year in college. And, somehow, because of the relationship with Danielle's mom and my dad, one of my siblings must have heard what was happening and how I was falling for this person. And
they told your dad.
They told my dad.
And your dad.
Can I tell the
I know,
story?
But isn't it funny how he told my mom? He did that on purpose.
So they told my dad, and my dad told her mom, and her mom, who had lost her first love, who happened to be going to medical school, ironically, and she lost him forever, and she knew, how Danielle felt. She had known. We had conversations I can get into later, but Janice always knew. So she told Danielle, hey, if you don't get busy, you're going to lose him. Tissue. And so ironically, that New Year's Eve that I was downstairs talking with my new person, right? And when the next day I went and checked the answering machines, the days of answering machines, and there was like a 45-minute.
And Dan loves telling this part.
A 45-minute story, message from Danielle. She had, disappointed on New Year's Eve, whatever it was, whoever she was with, but she left me a long message. You better check that door.
No, that's your dog.
And I heard it, and so I'm like, fuck. Now I'm kind of, torn at that point. And I didn't really respond directly. I had found somebody, and I was just kind of, what do I do now? Do you go for my first love or this new person or whatever? And I don't know, so maybe 2 weeks after that, I was living out in Fremont. I was working in San Francisco. I had just graduated from college, and I was working as an accountant in San Francisco for Wells Fargo and Eco Investment Advisors. And she showed up at my apartment. At this point, she's halfway through her first year of college. And from that day on, we've been together. And then we married. When we married, she was 23, I was 29. Yeah, it's a good Valentine's story. And that's what happened, you know. And there's a million good, great stories. Let me get a picture. You guys want to see a picture of when we first got together? And ironically, it's a picture taken by her mom to capture us because her mom was the only one that knew. Let me show you.
And that is like in a nutshell, because I swear he could talk for like 3 hours on that, just so you know. So he did a really good job at like condensing. That was a quick, condensed story. But he loves this picture, and we have not put it. I have not put it away. I've not put it away. It's one of my favorite pictures of us in the early years. You know what I mean? A lot, Susan, a lot. And that's what I'm telling you guys. It's, you know, it frustrates me that people want to listen to the stupid rags and not wait to hear the beauty behind our story. You know what I mean? Because our story is, or 8 hours.
So
or 8 hours.
this was Danielle's 17th birthday. Her mom took this picture. And that was right at the beginning. I don't know if you can see that very well. That's us at the beginning. And her mom took that picture. That was the beginning, right at the beginning of our relationship. And that's Danielle's mom's writing on the back. It says Danielle's 17th birthday. And she took that because she knew. And frickin' Danielle hasn't changed at all. And look, I had hair.
And you were like, $1.55, Liam.
Yeah,
Where's Richie Q? That's Dan, linebacker Dan right there. Look at that. Look at that. Linebacker my ass.
Oh, let me finish this part.
Oh, here he comes. The day's not over yet.
Right, because the best part, and we can do a video, but so the you know, why is my dad here? It's such a deep story, but you know, I've always told you, my dad, people ask, what was your dad like? Well, I don't really remember because I didn't, you know, up till about 8, you know, before 8, I don't have a great memory. So I can't tell you what my dad is like or was like. But when the chips were down, my dad was always there. You know, he may not have always been there all the time for everything, but if you were in trouble, my dad was there. When the chips were down, he always has been. So when Janice got sick, my dad, you know, and they had a tumultuous relationship that was, you know, fraught with, you know, a 22-year age gap, different families, skeptical people. It was kind of a rocky relationship. My dad got what he needed out of it. Janice got what she needed out of it, and that was kind of the nature of their relationship. But when she got cancer, and she was passing, my dad took care of her. I mean, he cared for her. Jesus Christ. Like, you know, well, you know, he taught me you know, how to act, right? And when he got sick, you know, and it was difficult with Danielle. You know, she was not an easy thing to bring him into the house. But you know, one of the arguments that I made, what are you looking at? One of the arguments that I made was, you know, look at the way you took care of your mom, and that was the kicker, right? She could not argue with that, and that's why we took him in. Susan, I am going to write a book because the detail that underneath all this is rich. And so many great juicy stories that will just have everything, they have every element of what will make a good story. But, in a nutshell, that's why he's here, because I learned from him. And, the relationship with Danielle and he was so rocky for so long. But she knew what he did for her mom. And so he moves in, and of course they have this history that is, tumultuous. They never got along, right? Because it wasn't so much because of my dad. I think it was Danielle and her issues with her own dad that caused friction with my dad. You're not my dad. I have him, that kind of thing. And she felt kind of abandoned by her dad, and that ruminated throughout. That ruminated throughout our relationship. So when he first came in, they have all this history, right? And it was a tumultuous history, and it was tough at first. But the way that they have, bonded since he moved in, and the way she's adapted is, all the trolls. All the trolls, they have no idea. Yeah, their relationship makes a lot more sense now. And why does he remember her? Well, the reality is he lived with her longer than me. My dad's real particular about his kids, right? He has his kids, his 6 kids, and that's what he cares. That's his life. Danielle would be included to an extent in that, but my dad was, he's all about his kids. But their bonding and the growth of their relationship since he moved in is really spectacular, and people have no idea, how she evolved into, his caregiver and somebody that he's completely dependent upon now. And it's a pretty amazing story. You can still see remnants of the family, right? If you look at it, the family units, the 2 family units, still kind of exist today. The break. I had my first family, and then my dad started a second family. And if you notice, when we went to Thanksgiving, it was me and my older siblings and my mom, and we went to my brother's house, and Danielle and Josh and Ed stayed here for Thanksgiving. And if you think about it, that was the family. That's the way it was, 30 years ago. So it was a family unit. And today I heard her talking about Josh. She's a lot closer to Josh than I am. Half brother, whatever, he's full, that's it. But she has a relationship with him that I could never, a relationship you can only get by living with somebody. So today, when I call him, she's like, you got to call Josh. I think he feels left out because, I went to my cousin's wake yesterday, or the day before yesterday. And, I went with my older siblings because Josh didn't know this cousin because she was from, she's 10 years older than me, and she's from the first family. So, we went together as my family for this thing, and Josh wasn't involved because he didn't, he wasn't around for the first time. So I think he was feeling a little left out. So that's why I called him this morning, and, Danielle was on that. So, and that's turned out to be an absolutely, silver lining. The Josh thing is amazing. And the fact that, both those kids, if you think about it, for Danielle and I, those nieces and nephews are ours. It's not like there's always something different between your own niece or nephew and your spouse's niece or nephew. Not in my case. Why is it happening?
Sometimes it does.
So
It's the internet.
any questions? It is, and the details of the story are amazing. In between, some of the stuff that happened was just sensational. It'd be great for the book and the movie, but that's the general sense of it. And again, my perspective is very different than her perspective because I was older and my friends, and it was just not an issue for me because I had my family that I had grown up with. For her, it was different because she grew up and that was her family. So we come at it very different, and she has different defense mechanisms that I don't need, because for me it's just my perception of our relationship is very different than hers. Yeah, and it was clearly love. I don't. It could have been. It could have gone bad, but it went well. So I'm grateful. Yeah, he met Janice. I didn't know her. I mean, I didn't know them for a long time. My initial meeting was that, as described earlier, and it was a real traumatic day for me in every sense of the word. That's why she loves Josh's kids so much. Yeah, and there's, it's still there today. I mean, that Josh for me is everything, but I didn't grow up with him or have that kind of
But there's
that kind
also
of
a
bond.
tie to my dead mom.
Yeah,
It's
and also
different.
it's for her mom. But if it wasn't for her mom, we wouldn't be together for multiple reasons. Her mom's the reason we're together, and I think that's because she wanted, for whatever reason, she felt that we made a good match and that I would take care of her, I think. Questions?
Perfect day for a subscriber live.
Is it a subscriber live?
Yeah. Let me see. Can you read?
I can read slowly. Yeah, no, I've been waiting. It's just not, was never an issue for me. It was out every few, if you knew us prior to social media, this was not, this was not a secret, right? If
Thanks,
you knew
Carol.
us, you knew, especially 15 years ago when her mom was alive. It came up a lot more often. It just doesn't come up that often now. And then once we got on social media, and my dad
you
does
right.
not remember her, and more specifically, her decline and death, which we are trying to protect him from. As you see, how upset he gets just knowing that his brother had passed. We are not,
He doesn't really remember my mom.
or he's blocked it out because it's painful. I mean, we don't really know, but it's not something that we want to throw in his face and have him, deal with every day. He does, but he said something the other day to you.
Yesterday,
So
he said, "I've known you since you were 6." I told them.
that had to be, a flash of memory. But that's our story in a nutshell. I've always loved it. I would have been out with it right away, but Danielle has a different perspective than me because, again, she was younger. That was her family. I had already grown up in my family, and we still have two families. I mean, it's just what happens when after your kids are adults and you split up and you rekindle a family. There's never really connected. So we have kind of those two families, and you can see it in things like when I go to my cousin's memorial or Thanksgivings, things like that. The old thing still kind of carries through. My mom, great question. My mom loves Danielle, and it was probably the hardest for my mom, not because she had any issues with it, but because it kind of brought me closer to my dad, right? So I think at first it was that was my mom's fears. I grew up, I was my mom's boy, right? I lived with her all the way through through high school, and I think that was her only worry, and of course that that faded over time. And after we got together, then there was more of a bonding. We did some mutual Thanksgivings where everybody was there because Danielle and I kind of brought those two units together and made everybody more acceptable. And it was nice for that time until her mom got sick.
And we don't have to spend family times apart. It's kind of cool because we're all together.
And all that came from
Josh.
from our bond. No,
Josh.
No, my mom has no connection to Josh.
No, but she enjoys seeing his kids now too.
Well, sure.
She
I
asked,
mean, she.
So now, like,
Since his mom is dead, you know, my mom is there, and you know, has always kind of tried to you know, because his siblings are, you know, she's his siblings' mom, so she has, you know, really, I think, especially at the beginning, you know, reached out and said, hey, you know, I'm here if you need anything. But Danielle's pretty much co-opted that role of Josh's mother. It is a it's a story made for, you know, made to be produced somewhere on a movie or something, and there's so much detail that we've glossed over that is
and
remarkable.
eventually now
And
that
Ed, if anyone asks what Ed thought, do you know what he
he
thought?
loved it.
My dad was our biggest supporter
but what
because
I'm
it
saying-
brought me to him. And that's all my dad cared about, is he knew I would be around
That's what
a
I was
lot
trying
more.
to tell you, is that I think there was a method to his madness when he told my mom and she told me. It was like, you better tell Danielle this is what's going on, because Ed actually also, I think he knew, right? Everybody knew.
He loved it. Well, yeah, I mean, from the first thing, everybody, you know, we were together all the time during that first romance. I mean, we were
It did,
inseparable.
Jerry.
We were pretty much inseparable, except for that year and a half that we took off. We were pretty much inseparable. I mean, we spent all the time, all of our time
You
together.
still would show up occasionally.
Well,
to get-
during the break.
To get in my way.
Yeah, but you didn't. Not much. Not much. That was a rough year for me.
Remember, every person has a different side to the story.
I don't know what the hell she's talking
And
about, but that
perception.
was a rough year for the year and a half for me off.
It was.
And she was not available to me. I didn't show up. I mean, you were off doing
Came
your thing.
dragging, crawling back
Whatever. For
with
I
a
may have-
rose in your mouth,
I might have called
tears
you a few
down
times,
your eyes.
but don't forget, I moved on. I did eventually get over it and move on, and then she came back.
Yeah.
and sucked-
whatever.
you know, it's like The Godfather. You try and get out, and she sucks you back.
And then I
in.
sucked him back in. I won't tell you how I did that. But you know when they say power of the pussy?
Again. All right.
Oh, God.
That's it.
I had to suck him in really quick. Oh, Dan gets so mad when I say that shit. Oh, Dan! Now he's mad at me. Don't drink out of that. Waterfall. Stick your tongue in it. Do I feel like a weight has been lifted? Yes. Because, you know, I'm going to tell you something, Kathy. Remember, you know how we talk about power? You know, we talk about owning your shit and taking your power back from the people who try to control it. And I felt that with all these trolls coming in and saying the things they wanted to say and making everything ugly and trying to, you know, just dispel this huge secret that we have that wasn't really necessarily the case, and this misunderstanding about the whole thing and how we went about telling it. By me, I don't know, probably inside.
No, I came directly here.
Oh, by me just bringing it up, I feel like I'm taking back my power of my story. This is my shit. This is nobody's business talking about it unless me and Dan talk about it. So, that's exactly like I felt like this I think was bugging me more. This was bugging me more of not talking about it and ignoring it and not being able to say, who the fuck cares? What's your problem? It's no secret. Everybody who knows us knows, type of a thing. And so now I'm controlling my narrative. I'm taking that power away from those ugly people trying to make it some big deal when it's mine. It's mine. This is my story now. I own it. Dan owns it, and we love it. And we are, you know, we're here 27 years strong, you know? And you could say what you want, but love speaks for itself.
Where's my phone?
Anyhow.
Did anybody see where I put my phone?
It's my personal business. And it drove me nuts that people use it as such an attack and such a, let's razz Danielle,
And I said, just tell them. Big fucking deal. Where the hell is my fucking phone?
Yes. So if you want to say that, yes, we share Josh.
What? We share Josh?
We share Josh. We share Josh. Josh is the offspring of my mom and Dan's dad. Yeah. So,
It's my phone.
Josh is half Dan and half me. So now you know why I love that guy so much and those kids. It's like an extension of my mom. So there you have it. And I'm so much happier. Josh, it's funny, Susan. Josh, and now I can show my mom, I can show you pictures, show you things that I couldn't do before. Josh looks a lot like my mom. Yeah. He's got some Salinger characteristics, but he is more my mom's side of the family. Yeah. So when I see Josh, I see my mom. And in his kids as well. It's kind of crazy. Yeah. And as I've aged, I look like my mom. It's crazy. It's really crazy. Leslie's calling your number, Dan. So Leslie's calling. Les, can you call again? It's not in here, so it's got to be inside. You went in for a minute.
Did I?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
My mom wanted another baby.
I went in.
If you look at, you went in and came back out. I don't hear it out here unless the ringer's off.
Alright. Well, the ringer's probably off, so I can pull it.
So yeah, if you really look at it, it's really cool too, because if you think, like my kids probably, like genetically, are probably so close to their kids, it's crazy. You're welcome. And yes, I'm, those people are those kids, man, are my love, my life. Spending time with that family is so crucial to me because it's almost like how I get closer to my mom. It's how I get closer to her. How long was Ed? Dan was not married to my mom. Easy, Beth. Ed was married to my mom. My mom, I don't know.
I don't know exactly when they got married.
I don't either. A long time.
Nobody was at a wedding. Nobody was there. Nobody knew for a while.
I was there, but
You were
nobody
there?
else. Yes, I was. It was a justice of the peace in Nashville.
Oh well.
But
You
yeah,
knew then. You didn't know.
yeah, I knew. Of course, I was going to be there for Christ's sake. That was a sad day in my life, by the way. I cried all day. I cried. Can I tell you how much I cried? When he showed up in Nashville,
You probably didn't want to go back.
I didn't. And when he showed up in Nashville, I cried. I cried. I cried. Did I tell you? My mom passed, Lisa. It'll be 18 years next Saturday, a week from Saturday. Yeah. Yeah, I cried. Did I tell you I cried? How did they meet? It's a really cute story. Not so cute for me, but I have to make, because it's God. But then of course I wouldn't be with Dan and I wouldn't have my kids and Josh. Fuck. But my mom, we moved. Remember I tell you there's a lot of things that will make sense now. Remember I said my mom left Nashville and blah blah blah, and then she went in and she worked for a dentist's office, Dr. Fernando, and who worked 3 doors down from Dr. Fernando, Ed. And they were good friends, Dr. Fernando and Ed. And they, she was a single mom struggling. And it was kind of like, hey, Janice, I think you should meet this guy. He's divorced and, blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. And they went out on a date and Ed took her to McDonald's for a cup of coffee. And how that, I don't know, it was any sign. And then I don't know, I think, my mom, at that time when you're young and you're single, you want to, roof over
security.
You want security for your kid, and you want
rent.
more babies, and you need a roof. I think she did it. She did it because she felt it was the right thing to do to take care of her daughter and have possibly more kids. So, yeah, McDonald's, cup of coffee. Fuck. And, well, I can't say, you think about how the cards fall and shit. It's crazy. Yeah. I'm like, so did you go on a travel adventure in the trailer? So, God, I was so pissed. You guys have no idea. So yeah. So anyhow, I don't remember how we got back. I think I was in a state of shock and pissed offness that I don't even remember. I'm sure we drove back to California, but did I tell you I was pissed? Thanks, Dump. All right, go get it. Yeah, Lisa, it's really interesting. You just figure out that way. My mom had a decision to make. She moved us from her securities of being with her family and brought us to this, city across the country. And this is her doing, Yeah, now it makes sense. I told you guys. I said a lot of, I cried. Did you hear that? I cried. I could tell you stories. It wasn't very happy between us, you guys. It wasn't very happy. But, you got to take the good with the bad. And it brought things together. He was able to take care of my mom when she was dying. Dan will always tell you that, they moved up here to be closer to their grandkids. And Dan will always tell you, and still to this day, that, they started, they finally had a connection, right? The grandkids. Ed was always here, you guys. That's why Ed was always here. It was important. We were important to them, Ed not only got grandchildren, he got his son in the same house. You know what I mean? And so, Dan will tell you they came together towards the last portion of her year. Unfortunately, they built a house, a beautiful home up in Shingle Springs. They took care of my kids. My mom was always there. And, in the end, when I couldn't take care of her, he took care of her till her last breath. Till her last breath.
You took care of her the whole time. What are you talking about? You
Well,
were
yeah.
raising kids.
I just said that.
Children.
I just said that.
No, you said at the end when I couldn't take care of her.
No, I said when I couldn't take care of him, he was there taking care of my mom
You
till
took
her
care of
last breath.
First day she was diagnosed to her last breath.
Yeah, my mom saw all my kids. Yeah, my mom saw me graduate. She saw me get married. She met Andrew was about 16, 18 months when she died. So she got to meet Andrew. Yeah. And none of Josh's kids. And none of Josh's kids. So, yeah. So now things make sense, right? Ed was always here. He was always here. He's closest to us. He's the closest to our kids. And, that probably plays into a lot. It plays into a lot of, it was difficult for me, him always here. But, I turned the page. I was finally I can take care of the man. 3 years ago, it was not easy for me. 3 years ago, I had a lot of resentment. I had a lot of anger towards him, towards, their relationship, my mom's relationship with him. I didn't even care, that he took care of my mother. It was still all the shit that I still held grudges for, you know what I mean? Before that. And all those years I lived with it and I felt it and I was witnessing that, just a horrible relationship. And, yeah. And then after she died, he romanticized, he kind of romanticized their relationship, and it just sent me into tether downward, because that made me mad. But that was maybe how made him cope, and then I became angry at him all over again. And so, yeah, there it is. There it is. And yes, Lisa, that's why he's not my father. No. And I think I never had space for him in my life. You know what I mean? I never had space for him. I never looked at him as a father figure. I looked at him with anger and frustration and, unhappiness. I never looked at him in any positive way ever, ever. I mean, Dan will tell you one time about the first time I hugged him ever in my whole entire life was when we found out my mom was dying. And we had to leave my mom in the hospital. And I literally was in the car. We're both crying. Ed kind of started crying. And I reached from behind, because he was sitting in the front seat, and I hugged him. That was the first time in my whole life I had ever hugged him in my entire life.
It was also one of the only 2 times I've seen him cry in my entire life.
And if you heard Dan, that was only one of the 2 times that he's seen him cry. No. My mom left, my dad. So yeah, no, I never thought of him as a father. People, and sorry, that was a really bad reaction, but it's always been that way. And they say, oh, so Ed was like a father. No, no. Like, we didn't talk. I never talked to him. I literally, if there was not, I literally, maybe words that were uttered to him is dead silence or shut up. It was pretty much my life. It could have been shut up more than anything. So no, when I say no, you guys did not. I couldn't wait. I was counting down the years to get the fuck out. I don't remember, Colleen. I really don't remember exactly. He doesn't remember your mom, Danielle. No. I really don't want him to remember because it's painful, It's a painful, I know, the last thing on earth I want him to do is have to remember another death, I don't want that. Yeah, and Jennifer, like, I say it. That's why I'm like, when the trolls come at me, I'm like, you guys have no fucking idea how much, I have been able to turn around a corner. Like, even Dan's family does it. Like, they're like, when we first took him, I mean, they're like, how's Danielle gonna do it? She can't stand the man, And now I'm doing it. And I'm probably more protective over him than anybody else. I never thought in my wildest dreams I would be here. And I'm telling you, my mom's like, what the fuck? There is no way in hell I would have ever seen that happening, So, so I think that's why he remembers me the most, is because I've been with him probably the longest. But I think he does, Sarah. I think you're right. I think he does remember my mom in different weird ways, Yeah, a little bit. You guys, I'll have to start showing you pictures now. I know, Michelle, and it's just really sad because, it was going to be time when I was ready to take my power back over it, and I was ready because I'm tired of people making it so ugly, and I'm tired of people talking about, I'm tired of people talking about my mom and bringing up her, because that's what hurts me the most, when they have no right to tell and talk about my mother. That really pisses me off. Colleen, no, it's not that I want him. Of course I wanted my dad back, but I just didn't like him. I didn't like him. And again, I don't want to focus so much on, I want to preserve, and I told you guys this earlier, with Dan and I, our biggest thing that we want to do is to preserve his dignity today. I want to remember Ed how he is today, because that's what's important. The importance is remembering how he is today, because he is a much kinder and much sweeter individual. And in the past, he wasn't that way. He wasn't that way. He was all the complete opposite of that way, with the relationship with my mom. And
by the way, Tara, whoever that is, just commented, If you guys remember, there was a live when my dad came and stroked Danielle's head and said, called her baby or something like that. And Danielle
Honey.
had this visceral emotional reaction. That's tied because my dad has never done that. It would never, just wasn't in their relationship to do that. They didn't have that kind of relationship. And so when that happened on the live and she lost it, that's why. I wanted to explain it then. I knew why, but that's why she lost it. It was just my dad. They both made an evolution during these 3 years, and have grown together. More than they ever were before. So that was a great moment. And Tara, you witnessed it, and that's exactly right.
Yeah. And so I just, just respect the fact that by me telling how I felt, and by me telling you that the relationship was tumultuous, I don't think we need to give details.
It was, I mean, quite simply, she was 20 something years younger than him. My dad had a grown family. His grown family was very skeptical. She came out, she didn't have anything. She was living in an apartment. She was, my family was skeptical. She was looking for some kind of security, and my dad was looking for companionship. And it kind of worked out, and it almost didn't work because she wanted another kid and he didn't, and it broke them up for a while, and then he chased her down and brought her back, and then Josh was born. So that's what happened. It was basically two separate lives.
Yeah. And so, I think it's important to focus on who he is today versus who he was. Just know it wasn't good and it wasn't nice, but let's remember Ed and let's respect the man we have shown you over these last 2 years, right? And I think that's the biggest importance for us at this present moment is keeping his dignity, shown you to who he is today, not who he was back then. I think, right? I mean, I don't think we need a
I mean, he was fine back. He was just different back then. He was different with his family than he was with Danielle. There was a disconnect, but that he was their relationship on both sides. There was skepticism, with Danielle and my siblings. So it's just the way it was. It was two people. My dad had been divorced. He was done with his family, and his family had grown, and he was looking for companionship.
and that's
Janice
what
was looking
and
for
that's
security.
and that's what I don't want to do. I don't want you to change your view on Ed. You need to think of him with what we've shown you, right? Because that's who he is today.
Well, that's who he is. People, it's funny. People, the trolls that say, "Hey, you're showing him. Why are you showing him at his worst?" I beg to differ. I think
Yeah.
we're showing him
At
at
his
his
best.
best. In his life, the grace and the way that he handles his deficits. That's my dad. When the chips are down, that's when he rises to the top. And I'm showing you these clips. You see, you don't see the bad, anything undignified, but the clips you see are showing my dad at his absolute best. When I'm most proud of him, and happy to share.
And I agree with him too. I don't think this is his worst. His past was his worst. He's living the way and ending his life in the way in which he should be. And we should all remember him.
And
for that.
and that also tells you why he's comfortable here. He's always comfortable, even when he doesn't remember who I am. He's comfortable. He knows it's familiar to him. It's all family to him. It's why it's the place he belongs.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No, and I don't want you to do that. I know somebody said, well, now my opinion of Ed has changed, and a lot of people, because of what we've shown and chosen to post, people say, oh, he was probably the greatest dad, well,
I was the product of divorce, and I really didn't have, my mom was busy doing her life. My dad was busy doing, making his new life. I kind of just grew up on my own. But he was a fine father. All my older siblings, he was there till they were all out of high school. I was the only,
Yes,
person that got, when they divorced, I was like in 7th grade or something.
yeah. And then that's why I just don't want I don't want to focus on his worst moments in his life. I want to focus on where he is today. And that's why we didn't want to come out with our story yet, because
I didn't care.
well, but we didn't want the story, our journey to transfer over and be obsessed with this part of it we want it to be where it is, our journey with grandpa, dementia awareness, caregivers, and we just kind of,
That's our story though. That's our story.
yeah.
Yeah, and it's kind of odd because Danielle and I became really the centerpiece of both sides of the family. That's the way I put it. We moved from the Bay Area, and shortly after we moved, Mark moved out here. My dad moved out here with Janice. My mom then moved out here. My sister now lives here. My brother Dave lives the other direction. The only one left in the Bay Area is my brother Adam. And so they kind of moved out to be around us, and
Liam, exactly.
we kind of brought
I
everybody
took my
together.
power back, my story, not theirs to tell. And I hope so, Cheryl. I don't want your opinion to change of Ed. I mean, that's my biggest thing, and not wanting to talk about, because it creates so many other uncertainties with Ed and how we've shown him. And so I just don't want that to change. I want to focus on,
Crystal,
the future.
we don't, again, our other siblings close to Josh? So that's a great question. Myself and my other siblings did not grow up with Josh.
Yeah,
so,
but he's really, he talks to Mark and Adam.
Can I finish the answer? So we don't have that kind of relationship, but I don't consider him a half. I don't consider him any different than any of my other siblings. So Josh is a sibling, half or not. He is my sibling. Danielle has a closer bond to him because she grew with him. I grew up with my other siblings. So
And my mom.
Yeah.
My mom is mostly the closest thing for me. It's a tie to my mother.
yeah, well, it's also good. I mean, we've had some stuff with Josh where Danielle and I had to band together
salty truth.
against Josh, and at one point this
Yes,
literally
Bray, you'll
happened.
have to rewatch
He
this.
asked Danielle. We were arguing on something. I'm not going to get into what it was, but he asked, "Are you siding with me or Dan?" Because Josh and I were at loggerheads, and Danielle's answer was, "Well, on this item, I'm siding with my husband," and we resolved that issue. It went away, and Josh turned out to be one of the greatest adults I've known. So we've used our connection to make a difference, even in Josh's life. It has happened. But to answer your question, are my other siblings close to him? We all consider him a full brother. We don't consider him half. So they're all close to him. He is my brother.
Yes. So Jolene, when people always ask,
what's
I
going
always
on?
say I have brothers. I keep it simple. So
Yeah,
my
I'll get the egg up.
hold on.
right.
My
All right, I'm on a line.
so
I'll call you. I'll get it.
my mom had me and Josh. That was it. My mom had me and Josh. Me with my dad, Pierre, and Josh with Ed. Then my dad had 2 kids with Babs.
How did we fall in love? I'll tell you how I fell in love. Danielle was always, whenever I saw her, which wasn't often, she would always, tail me and, hang and try and follow me around. It was a little annoying at time, but, there might have been a spark, but she was small. And then I had a situation. My mom kicked me out of my house for bringing a girl home at night, and she just loaded all my shit out in front door, and I had to move. And I had 3
Yes,
days
I
that
know
I
this.
spent at my dad's house. And Danielle had been gone for the first 2. She was at her dad's in Tennessee for the summer or what have you. And when she got back from that trip, she was not. She was 16.
these
She
are-
was
those
not
are
a
my
little girl
babies.
anymore. And
My babies.
we started this whirlwind thing for like a year and a half, and I fell hard. We just were inseparable. It just clicked. And then again, I'm regurgitating. I said this earlier. After a year and a half, she was a senior in high school, and I was already in college. And I decided, if we're going to make it, you're going to have to go, and we're going to have to break up. You can't just have one experience or one person. You had, small experiences before, but, and so we split up for a year and a half.
Susan wants to know who made the first move.
Not me. I mean, I was not.
It was me,
I was
Susan.
not, again, it was,
He was hot. I told you all that. He was hot.
it took me a little longer than her, to warm up to it. But then then I just fell. I mean, I've never really been in love with anybody else in my life. I mean, it's just it. A lot of dating, and during that
For
breakup
all of you
time-
guys coming in, Dan and I are not blood related. We're not half
Jesus
siblings.
Christ.
Jesus Christ. You guys.
That's not legal, by the way.
Yeah,
You can't.
I mean, so you guys need to like,
Yes, we are both related to Josh.
we're both related to
That's
Josh. That's it. We're both related to Josh because my mom married Dan's dad or vice versa. Josh is the
I have met all of, Danielle has her family, her mom's family and her dad's family, and they all live on the other side of the country. So they're when I go over there, I mean, I know her whole family, her mom's side, her dad's side. We've met them all the cousins, all the aunts, all the uncles, everything.
Here we
and
go
I
again.
have my family.
This is why I just knew it's going to start getting crazy the more people filter in, and it's going to be, you guys, it's probably going to be a couple weeks of crazy, so just bear with us because people are going to be coming in. You're going to have the trolls now. You're going to have all this shit that's going to come in. It's going to be obnoxious, but you guys have the storyline.
You know what it is.
So when you see ugliness, you know the truth, and you know how it was done, and you know the pretty side, not the ugly side. So, yeah. So anyhow, if you guys want to rewatch it, and we'll probably make a video.
Yeah,
Rita.
we'll make or we'll do another live on just on YouTube, and it'll get recorded, and people can go watch it.
Yeah, and
But
so
lives are good. So we can
yes,
answer
S. Myers,
questions.
and then tomorrow maybe we'll do a little bit more Q&A because there's going to be a lot. We have a live, and it's just going to be obnoxious. It's going to be obnoxious for a couple weeks, so just hang tight. And thank you guys, and yeah, just it is what it is. So I think we got to go. Chris said Chris says it's really bad.
Okay.
Yeah, he's like the connection spotty. So we love you. Thank you for being patient. Thank you for those of you who weren't pushing. Thank you for not being pushy. And to those of you that were being pushy and rude and disrespectful and using my mother's name, fuck you. Fuck you. Blasting her obituary everywhere, fuck you. Disrespectful. You know what I mean? There you have it. So, love y'all. And I appreciate you guys. We'll see you soon. Bye, guys.